another final year student, and I think so far we had questions from engineering students. This is from a degree student. So her question is this: as women, we usually compare ourselves to men. So how men are ahead of us in some places of our lives, and hence we start comparing ourselves and start to feel a bit inferior. So my question would be how to overcome inferiority complex and how to stop comparing ourselves to others. I think this is a pretty big question. I personally, I don't think that's just applicable to women alone, but I think, yeah, this question is from a woman. Like, how do you stop comparing with men and I know don't feel that inferiority complex? Like, what are your thoughts around it? I think Swapna, you can go first. You can share about your experience, especially moving from India, like Hyderabad to US, and how are you treated as a woman? Did you ever compare, or did it help? The comparison help you? You can just speak about that.
Yeah, I think comparison in general, right? Whether you're comparing yourself to another male or a female is always out there because there are so many males, that you're competing with. Then naturally, they become your competitors. So when I moved to US and then started looking for jobs and all, I didn't necessarily feel the difference in terms of, okay, I'm a woman versus I'm a man, and I didn't also feel the difference to actually you know think of less of myself, right? So it really depended on, am I doing good, being honest on like what can I do, what can I not do. Now, yes, I definitely limited myself in like what I could have been doing, saying maybe that's too far fetched goal for me, maybe I'm just happy doing what I am doing today. I think it hit me mostly when the other industries that I worked with, healthcare and all, there were mostly women as well, right? So I didn't see that as much. When I came to Amazon, I saw that the most, right? So there were many men, and there were many meetings where I was the only woman in those leadership meetings, right? It was very, very fewer women, or even only just myself. And when in those meetings, it kind of hit me. It's like, okay, I'm the only female here, and this is awkward, right? Like not having any other representation. Then, when I thought about, okay, what was my role? Do I know what I am talking about, right? As long as I knew what I'm talking about, I didn't feel that I had to be like, shy or not express my authentic self. And in fact, when I came to United States, the main thing that was holding us back, I am sure many others know, is the visa restrictions, right? What jobs can you get because of the visa restriction? Hence, the competition becomes even tougher. Now, once that visa restriction phase was over for me, when I got the green card, then the world was very different, right? Like, I did not care that I should be suffering in a job that I do not like, right? Then I made it a point that I do something that I really enjoy. I do something that I feel like, I can learn. I might not know the answers, but I should be continuing to learn. And that has helped me tremendously to feel liberated. Now I do not care what people think about me, or even if I have to lose my job, so be it. Right? Like, I am in no way, trying to, make money in terms of, keeping up with my family. I'm pretty in that phase. So when you're thinking about it, just, know that, ask the question of what's the worst that could happen, right? Why are we scared? Like, what's the worst that could happen? Ask yourself those empowering questions, and then go for it, right? And fake it till you make it, right? You don't have to like hold yourself back. So those are some of my experiences in terms of like mentally, how clogged up is your brain, how liberated do you feel, then everything else will follow, right? Then it's like, okay, sure, would I lose my job? Great. Okay. Would I lose anything on it? Like, what do I have to lose? Nothing. So just ask yourself those questions, be honest, don't let your feelings guide you. uh, Make a true assessment of yourself and then go for it.
Interesting. Anything you want to add, Swati?
Yeah, I mean, being the only girl and women is something that I started. I mean, soon after the masters, I think that came into the picture. And actually, I think from the start, I enjoyed all the opportunities being that single women, because I get to say my opinion. And most of the times, I also used to have that, they can put in extra hours, and they booze, they smoke, there are like lots of things where, like, the opportunities just happen, like, uh, nothing to do with the skill and all those things that used to be there. But the way I felt that I could overcome that is my strengths. So the strengths that I was able to bring to the table was quite different from men, because, for example, the empathy and to understand users is one of my core strengths, which I don't see most of the men have. Especially, these are all excellent and top graduates that I've worked with, coming from premier institutes, but I could see that is a strength and that is a value that I can bring to the table. So my strengths always played a very important role, and that too, this startup and this challenging jobs is always a male dominated world. And the kind of value I could bring in, even if I feel I'm contributing 10%, there are people who say that it mattered 200%, and that I just kept building on top of it. So probably, like, just think about your the value you can add and your strengths. Definitely, being in this minor percentage, you can do. I mean, our skills are way different and way beyond what most of the men possess.
Interesting. So Swapna says that you have to ask yourselves empowering questions like what you have to lose and start from that point stand, so that there is, once you get that, that will build confidence. And Swathi talks about identifying your strengths and playing to your strengths. So I have so though this question was asked for women, so I had my own journey of getting over the comparison. So I will share what helped me. Probably for men or women, I think that helps equally. So usually when we compare, right, most of the time we compare on the result. Like, somebody has got this, and now I used to compare. That's how I used to think. That person has got this, but I didn't get it, or mostly on the result part. So somewhere, during the journey through books or in talking to other people, so what I understood is, if you can, it's very hard, because I had the problem. So it's very, though I knew that I shouldn't compare, but when that situation happens, it's very hard to get into that mindset of not thinking about comparison. But because that power is there now, as I said, obstacle, using the obstacle as a way, and as using that using that as a power. So when you compare, instead of comparing on the result, I know it helped me to start comparing on the inputs, like what that person has done. So what is the specific skill, like, once you start comparing on the skills and input, like, say, that guy would have done so many things, he got that result. Probably there's a lot of effort in the background, which easily, like, we forget and just see the result. The moment I started seeing this is a different dimension, firstly, it helped in terms of understanding, and eventually, I mean, I wouldn't say I mastered it yet, but the number of times you compare will reduce. But you know that once so and so person has got that, I mean, there's so much of effort, and you may not be willing to do that whole effort as well. So, and then you start thinking, oh, I mean, it's fine, I mean, that's correct for his path, but for my path, maybe, like, it might be different.